Hey guys, my name's Molly and I work with Healthy Harvest of North Iowa, and today I wanted to show you how to make your very own beeswax wraps. So these are a couple that I made last week. You might have seen them at the store. They're becoming pretty popular. You might already own some yourself, but they're actually very easy to make, so I want to show you how to do that today. If you don't know what beeswax wraps are, they are basically something you can use to cover food or containers on your counter or in your fridge, and it just helps you use less single-use plastic like saran wrap, Ziplocs, or also less tin foil. You can make them varying sizes. You can use whatever fabric you want. That's what's so great about them. You can really make them your own. So you're going to need a couple things today. The first thing is beeswax. And you can find this locally. We're going to put a link attached to this video to show you some places you can get that. You might buy your honey locally, and maybe you can find your beeswax there. You might also just have friends or family members who keep bees and have wax and don't really know what to do with it. So maybe you can get it from them or buy it from them, and even give them some of your beeswax wraps as a thank you gift. So mine are in blocks like this. Yours might look like this, or it might look a little bit different. These are actually from my dad because he keeps bees in his backyard and he has a bunch of wax. Another thing that you're going to need is some sort of grater, and we are going to use the biggest holes on that to carve the wax. You will need 100% cotton fabric, and you might just have fabric scraps lying around the house. You can also get them from your local thrift store. Most people just have fabric around. These were from old memo boards that my sister used to make, so we had a lot of fabric scraps. This is the biggest one that I'm making today. I also have a medium-sized one and a small one. So I used pinking shears on the edges of mine to create a serrated edge. You do not have to do that if you don't have them. You can just use normal scissors and that is just fine. So preheat your oven to the lowest setting. Mine's 170, yours should be around there. And then I'm going to zoom in to show you how to grate the wax. So first you're going to lay out your fabric on a piece of parchment paper that is on a sheet pan. And you don't want them overlapping, so make sure they each have their space. Next, we are going to carve some of the wax. So here is a piece of wax that I've been working on with my past bees wraps. And what you're gonna do, whether you have a box grater or one of these, you're gonna hold it strong and start to grate your wax. So as you can see, it started to grate like a fine coating of wax on my fabric. So I'm going to keep going a little bit. And you just have to basically keep doing that until you get a medium coating of wax on your bees wrap. So I shaved some earlier so you guys wouldn't have to watch me do this for 5 minutes. And so I'm gonna sprinkle that onto my fabric. And a very important thing is when you're done sprinkling it, make sure it gets to all of the corners and edges, so that when you put it in the oven, the wax can spread out evenly and there's no spot that's left without wax. So once you get it on there, I'm gonna spread it around, make sure it gets to all the edges and all the corners. And a side note, if for some reason you had already purchased beeswax pellets from online or from a store, you can use those here as well, and you're gonna do the same steps, except in this part you're just gonna spread the pellets on the fabric. So you can use those too. So as you guys can see, I have the beeswax spread out pretty evenly on my fabric. And that is, I would call, a medium coating. And so that one is done. And now I'm gonna do the other two and then show you what's next. So I just finished shaving beeswax onto all 3 of my pieces of fabric. And if you do think this is a project you're going to be doing a lot, I recommend buying a cheap grater at a thrift store that you will use just for beeswax, because if you're going to be doing a lot, it can be kind of challenging to clean. And so you're going to want one that you don't have to wash the wax off of every time. By now, your oven should be preheated to its lowest setting, and when it is, we are going to put our pans in the oven for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you're going to check on your beeswax wraps. If you see any pieces of wax, leave it in for another 1 or 2 minutes. Keep checking it until you don't see any chunks of wax and everything has melted. So it has been 11 minutes. I checked on mine and there was still a couple small pieces of wax, so I put it in for 1 more minute, but mine are ready now, so I'm going to pull them up. So the pan will be hot, so make sure you have an oven mitt. So the pan is hot, but the beeswax should be okay to touch. Still use caution, and you want to remove them from the pan immediately. And what I like to do is hang it from a hanger with clothespins. It's already starting to dry in my hand, so it dries very fast. You hang my last one. And so just in seconds, these should be dry. And that's it. You guys are done, and you just made your own beeswax wraps. So these are wraps that you can reuse over and over again until they don't hold their shape or they're very dry and cracked. If that happens, you can do the same process, just using a little bit less wax to rejuvenate these and give them their shape again. So I want to show you a couple ways to use them. So I would use this one on probably a bowl or a Tupperware. And what you do, you use the warmth in your hands to kind of seal the beeswrap around whatever you are covering. So it really holds its shape well. This small one I would use on a cup or a mug. And again, you just use your body heat to help make that seal. And this bigger one I would probably use on a large bowl or Tupperware. I feel like almost everyone has a Tupperware where the lid broke or it's missing, but you don't want to get rid of the bowl. That's what happened with this one, so this would be perfect for my bees wrap. There are so many uses for these, and I know you'll think of some on your own. They're great to send in kids' lunches. I used a large beeswax wrap when I took a sandwich to work every day, and I wrapped my sandwich in it. There are really so many uses, non-food uses as well. You can use it to cover different supplies. And so some care instructions. The way you're going to clean these, you're going to use warm or cool water, and then dish soap and your sponge or rag. Wipe them clean, rinse them dry, or rinse them clean. Just do not use hot water because that can melt the wax. So these would make a really good last minute Christmas gift. People love getting something handmade, so you can make them for your friends, your family, your co-workers. And you can make them any kind of style you want. You can use Christmas fabric, you can use Disney or Pixar fabric for the kids. You can really make them your own. All different shapes, all different sizes. So that's it for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this beeswax wrap tutorial. If you have any questions at all, you can email me at molly@healthyharvestni.com. I would love to hear your comments on the video. I'd love to see pictures of your beeswax wraps, and I will take any questions that you guys have. Happy holidays!